Okay, we should be streaming now. Just about. Oh, blimey. What a pain. Gonna start in 4 minutes. Yeah, 4 minutes, people.
What have you called it, mate?
If you're watching an archived version, then you might want to fast forward 4 minutes. No news on this show today. We're just going to get straight into the crux of the chat. Did the news already and things. Yeah. Right, and now we should be streaming on Facebook as well. I apologise, people. If you're watching an archived version, you might want to fast forward about 3 minutes to the top of the show. We're working now, aren't we? You can hear me, Chris, yeah?
I can hear you.
Perfect. And Danny, can you hear me? Danny Jones. I see.
Right, can anyone hear me at all?
Hey, yeah, Danny, yeah, I can hear you.
Hello there, anyone?
Yes, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. This is third time lucky, people. Going to start the show in a couple of minutes. I'm just trying to sort out, make sure that everybody can hear each other on Discord. Oh, blimey.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Danny. It'd be better if you got. It'd be better if you got closer to your microphone. To be honest with you, but I can hear you.
I went to.
Can you hear me okay, Ollie?
Yeah, Mike, I can hear you good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect, mate.
Good. You're actually a wee bit too close to your mic. Tiny bit too close, maybe.
And I can hear everybody.
Chris, your sound as always is absolutely atrocious. Right, going to start the show in about 2 minutes.
Is that better?
No, that's now distorted. Now you're too close. Yeah. Just
right. All right then.
Nurture your mic. Don't make love to it.
Oh, I wish.
Oh. Right. You know what? That'll do. Let's get into this. Oh, blimey. Yeah, hey, folks. Good evening, good people. This is the Daily Brexit. Take 3 tonight. Take 3. Okay, in case this should be a self-contained show, yeah. So let's do it self-contained. Info, misinfo, disinfo, info overload, Psyops, truthers, shills, trolls, fools. Feud for thought, yeah? That's now. Activist Danny Jones kindly filling in for a flu-ridden Mike Dyce, who actually is here anyway on Discord, I think, wants to give us a reality check. So that's going to be interesting. If you're watching an archive version, I'm not going to bother with the news today particularly because I already did actually. It's already a recording of that. And anyway, it's just Groundhog Day, lots of rhetoric. But David Trimble is talking about he wants to take the government to court over the backstop. That's a great story. That is a great story. But yeah, I've already covered that. Anyway, taking your calls on Discord. And my Discord is now working now. And by the way, I didn't have to change any settings. I did have to reboot. Somebody in the comments said, try rebooting it. And that did work. Didn't change any settings. Don't know why it didn't work in the first place. Anyway, taking your calls on Discord at gov.ly/rant. And see you in the comments. Okay, right. Okay, so without further ado, I suppose we'll do one last roll call. Danny Jones, good evening, sir.
Good evening, how are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. I'm pleased we got there in the end.
I apologise for my ignorance.
Oh, now hold on a sec. That's Chris. That's Chris Baxter in the background, who presumably is now got his hairdryer going. Sorry, Danny, you apologise for what? You don't apologise for anything.
I just apologise for my ignorance on Discord.
Oh, mate, no. I apologise for mine. Don't worry about that. It's a bit of a pain. And we got Mike Dyce here too. Mike.
Good evening.
Flow Destroyer. Yeah, I'll tell you, this is going to be interesting. I don't know where we're going to go with this, but we might as well just get straight into it. I did a show a week ago today with Andy Devine, which ruffled a few feathers, yeah. And actually, it has to be said that there were some feathers that were quite rightly ruffled because some names were mentioned on that show who probably shouldn't have been mentioned. Irrespective of the legals, from a moral point of view, actually, I would say, just as a bloke, that's kind of my take on it, it seems to me. And people were correctly a bit upset about that. And hands up, yeah, from the point of view of this journalist here, I did cock up a bit because if people are, it's very difficult. And this is what this show today is about: is what is fact and what is fiction, and truth and lies, and that sort of stuff. And we have a very oh blimey, we have quite a culture going on, shall we say, online with our conversations. And sometimes it's an interesting experiment, maybe, to sit back and have a look at a different angle on it and what have you. But anyway, when we are trying to extract truth, I think it's fair to say it's very, very difficult to do so. And to see that the British establishment, the judicial system, is assisting us in doing that. And we will talk about various examples of that throughout this program. Who should and should not be. Just one sec, guys. Just one sec. Let me just get this out.
It's not about. It's about CMB. It's about CMB. Do me a favour, CMB. When you're not speaking, can you just mute the mic so we can all hear Ollie then?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a background note there. Right. Okay. So it's anyway. The bottom line, yeah, is that people. Yeah, sure. We may speculate about certain people and their connections with certain other people because those connections are so concerning. And I'll give you a good example. Is, for example, blimey, truth, Prince Charles's association with Jimmy Savile, yeah, and what happened to Jill Dando, and there are some things that there is just so much smoke that it seems unreasonable not to consider what is being withheld from us, whilst at the same time pointing out what we do know for sure, which isn't a lot actually, and what we do not know for sure, which is practically everything. There's just, as I say, a shed load of smoke and very, very little in the way of proper inquiries being conducted into things, as the IICSA will testify, for example. So therefore, we have these kind of shows, do we not? Where names do get thrown up sometimes. And I did make a mistake last week by pointing out that these particular names that had been mentioned should not have been, because there have been no convictions and what have you, and at least it's smoke. Yeah, so just to have given them a bit of cover there, and I didn't. As a result of that, I took the decision to actually not delete, but to unpublish that video, because it wasn't fair on a couple of people. That's no reflection on my guest last week. Yeah, he wasn't necessarily to know the legal situation, and maybe has a different moral take on it, whatever. But anyway, I'm just saying, from a journalist, there were some concerns over that, and frankly, I agree. But we're going to talk about that, and I understand that these guys maybe have got one or two concerns with Andy Devine as well. Andy Devine was very good humoured on this show last week. Presented his case and is very, very welcome. And I hope, and said he would like to come back to have another chat again in the future. And who knows what this might lead to tonight. But anyway, okay. So Danny Jones, was I kind of fair, do you think, in my summing up of the kind of problems you had with the show last Monday, in terms of characters being named? And first of all, just get maybe that out of the way, I suppose.
Well, they get the name of the witness out of the way straight away. That's illegal. End of.
Yes.
Andy Devine knows damn well it's illegal as well.
Yes, that's right.
So
it's actually illegal. Strictly speaking, it's illegal in the UK, and I'm based in Spain. I pulled the video down for not so much for legal. Yes, partly for legal reasons. Yes. Because this show, after all, is very much going out to a British audience, but also because I just thought it was the fair thing to do. But yes, you're correct. In the UK, it was illegal, that mention of those names. Sorry, Danny, carry on.
The thing that annoys me about the Andy Devine scenario with the Hampstead link is he pushes the videos of the kids, and the whole prevention is about protecting the kids. And yeah, so it's a complete flip-flop of what he's saying. You know, I want to protect the kids. We want to get justice for the kids, but while I'm doing that, I'm going to push their stories out and everything else. So it's
now hold on a sec. Hold on. Your audio is really bad, and I can't quite make out.
Can I
what
make
you're
a
saying.
suggestion here?
Go on, Mike.
That CMB mutes his mic because all that's happening is he's feedbacking through everybody.
Right, Mike. I'm going to put Chris in the green room to avoid this problem entirely, and I'll pull Chris back in a bit later. Okay. Sorry, Danny. Try. Please explain that again, Danny. I do apologize.
I was basically just saying that. Bottom line, Andy Devine knows it's illegal. He knows that he's supposed to be protecting the kids. This is all about the justice for the children, right? And to push the videos and to push their names and to push the story around, which I found out is personally a hoax. I know it's a hoax, but Andy doesn't believe that for some mad reason. Bottom line is, let's say he does the right. If he thinks it's true, he's still doing wrong by pushing all the videos and all the names and everything else out there. It's wrong. Morally wrong.
Okay. You're saying that Hampstead is hoaxstead, effectively.
It's a hoax, that.
We're going to come into that then. We're going to go into that, and I'm going to ask Mike about that. Whilst you, Danny, please, you do something with that microphone because your sound is dreadful, and I want you to be heard. And Mike's sound is very good. So you that was man flu, Mike Dyce, you told me about earlier. Then you're on the show anyway. You're obviously not, on death's door.
Yeah, I was a bit unwell this morning. Had an IBS issue.
Right. Okay. Well, it's good to see that you survived. Why do you say? Okay, this thing Hampstead. I've got no idea, by the way. Either way, why are you saying that Hampstead is a hoax? And is it not just possibly the case that a lot of people have been, I don't know, caught up in this, possibly including Andy Devine? I don't know. What's your take?
I think I wouldn't be as disingenuous as to say that it's an actual hoax. What I would say is that there is child abuse there, and the Ella Christie and Ella Draper and Abe Christie are wanted by the UK police seeking charges regarding child cruelty.
Okay, now these are two names that we can name, and that's the mother and the stepfather. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. So hold on. Why are they wanted? Okay, let's get to the beginning of this then.
Right.
What happened in Hampstead?
Essentially, the quick story short is that it was a custody battle that had went wrong. The mother made escalating allegations against the father in order to stop him seeing his kid.
Mike,
when it came to the time to being going to court and being investigated, etc.
So I don't know what's different.
That's definitely your end, Olly.
Right. Please just speak a bit closer into your microphone and explain that again, because your sound was so bad, and I want to understand this. What happened in Hampstead?
Essentially, there was a custody battle went wrong.
A custody battle went wrong is what you're saying. Yeah. Carry on.
Yeah. The mother and the boyfriend made escalating allegations against the father. The father was refuting these and found guilty of none of the allegations, and then eventually they started saying that there was a baby-eating cult. They basically took the children to Morocco for 4 weeks, where they actually physically abused and coached the children into the testimonies that people can see online.
Right. Okay. Now that's an important point. You're saying that the testimony of the kids was enticed by the mother and the boyfriend. This is your allegation.
No, it's not an allegation. It was in the court findings. Essentially, the judge who was in charge of this actually said that it amounted to child cruelty.
Really?
Torture. Torture was the exact one that she...
The judge said that those children had been subject to torture by their mother, you're saying?
And Abe.
And the boyfriend or the stepfather? The boyfriend.
The stepfather.
The stepfather. Okay. And they are still on the run, are they?
Yes, one's in Morocco and one's in Spain, as far as I'm aware.
And the kids are
with the father, happy and by all accounts flourishing.
Right. Okay. Right. Why is it going about this satanic business? Where did that come from? They were allegations from. Go on.
Essentially, it's an evangelical kind of slant on things, right? I think there's a lot of evangelical types around us, and these are the only people who seem to believe in Satan and satanic baby eaters running about London.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, part of the thing is you're going to get a lot of attention with headlines like 100 baby eaters in Hampstead and satanic baby eaters and all this kind of stuff. So you get a lot of hits, you get a lot of attention, because it's such a sort
heart-wrenching.
Heart-wrenching case. It means that you're going to be like, you've seen videos of kids at the end of their abuse, basically. Right? So if you see the kids and you go, look, the kids have clearly been abused, yes, you're right. They've been abused for 4 weeks in Morocco and longer back in the UK. But basically, essentially coached to say these things that have been on these videos. It's absolutely disgusting.
Okay, so right. Okay, so your argument is basically the official story is absolutely correct, and people such as David Aronovich.
No, I wouldn't. There's a distinction here to make.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that the official story is 100% correct. It's as correct as it can be given the evidence they've had access to, because Abe and Ella are still missing for this equation. They have not given testimony. They've not fought for their kids in any sort of shape or form. All they've tried to do is profit off the back of this story and have not faced up to the law system. If they have nothing to hide and they can prove what their allegations are, then there should be no problem with them walking into our court, given the publicity that's been around this case and the notoriety of this topic.
Yes, absolutely. We've kind of got half a case so far, I suppose, without there having been their testimony, eh?
Well, everything's been sealed off in terms of investigation. Like these people say, there wasn't an investigation. There was a fact-finding mission. There was 16 people who were immediately in the vicinity of the children who were interviewed, and there was no evidence of any satanic abuse or cult that was in existence. So there was no need to then go and interview a further 80-odd people that had been named on the internet for something. Because the problem is when you go to somebody who has kids and say that you've been named on a list on the internet as somebody who's been involved in satanic ritual abuse, etc., then how do you have these conversations with your kids to explain why the police are turning up at your schools, why you're having to get security, why you're having to maybe change your name, or why you're having to leave the area?
Okay, go on.
The real thing that needs the real lesson for this case, right, is the damage that social media can do to, and the effect it has on detracting.
Okay, we're going to come on to that. We're going to come on to that. We're going to.
There is child abuse in this country. There is cover-ups going on.
Mike. That you read my mind. We're going to come on to that. We're going to talk about that in some detail. Let me take a few comments first of all, just to see what people have got to say about this. Kazzy Mack says, Mayor of Godalming, close by me over a year ago, was convicted of inappropriate activities with a minor. There's quite a few in the Commons now. It's said to be over 100 on the sex offences register or what have you. There's a lot of it about. Dave Jenkins, yet Sabine McNeil. If you want to interrupt me, Mike or Danny, to say anything on any of these points, please do. Dave Jenkins, yet Sabine McNeil just been sent to prison for trying to get the truth out. Suppose she's fake too. Go on.
Basically, Sabine McNeil
who is Sabine McNeil?
Sabine McNeil was Ella Draper's Mackenzie friend, essentially, which is a lay legal advisor. She was advising her during the custody battle, and she was part of the reason these allegations escalated. Right. She also then continued to publish a list that named 100 innocent people or so, and then distribute it over the internet and encourage a campaign where these people were harassed and targeted for over 4 years. The parents that were involved, who had to fight for over 3 years to get this to court, to get their names cleared and to get justice, because the effects that have happened to their kids and the folk that are in them, these families had to fight the justice system in order to get justice in this case. Now, there was 21 charges against Sabine. Right? There was 4 harassment and 17 times she breached her restraining order.
Right.
She got the majority of the sentence comes for the stalking and harassment while causing fear and alarm on the internet. What you have to be responsible when you've got a platform for what you put out there, and if you're going out there naming people who aren't paedophiles as paedophiles and therefore endangering their children and inciting people to kidnap these kids to save them from these people, then you're responsible for the ramifications that go on for that. And 9 years, quite frankly, is nothing in comparison with a lifetime having your name on the internet as a satanic baby or a satanic paedophile and having your kids stalked by paedophiles. Paedophiles go after these folks' kids and send them nasty, harassing messages on behalf of the likes of Sabine McNeill and Andrew Devine. And that is why I get bent out of shape when people allow Andy Devine and the likes of platform without the due diligence. Because Andy Devine's somebody, like the rest of these people who push this hoax, are people who don't care about endangering innocent people. They do no due diligence. They live on the manner, the principle, basically, they can put something out there and then apologise if they're wrong. And it's okay.
Well, I guess
that's unacceptable when you're naming paedophiles and encouraging folk to go and investigate and look into this and look into that, especially when there's enough real child abuse in the world to be concentrating on. There is enough shite that this government does to be concentrating on.
Yes. So, okay, you're concerned about the distractions. Sylvia McClellan says, I just find it very overwhelming, to be frank. I just think that those children could not have made all that stuff up. And I think that the takeout that I've had from this particular case, from people in general, has been precisely that sentiment, Mike.
Well, if you put yourself in the position of being a little kid, right, and you're with somebody who's been torturing you and telling you to recite their story, or like basically 4 weeks intensively in Morocco, separate for any your family or structure, then I am pretty sure that I could take you away for 4 weeks and make you sound like a canary if I had full rights to abuse you.
I don't know, mate. I have no idea.
That is the result of a grown man with over 30 convictions for fraud and abuse.
Really? This is the stepfather?
It is a proven abuser.
Hold on a sec. Okay. Let's just be clear on this.
Andy and Angela Pilla Disney and Sabine McNeill and Belinda McNeill.
Okay. Let's just be clear on this. You're telling me now that this stepfather has 30 convictions for various different crimes, including sexual abuse.
No, I've never said sexual abuse.
What did you say? Sorry.
Child abuse is different from sexual
child abuse. I apologise. Child abuse. What sort of convictions?
He's got a history of child abuse, and he's got around 20 convictions, I believe. I can't remember specifically, but it's in the 20s.
Okay, what sort of child abuse?
Just like well, in the case of the children in Hampstead, he was beating them with spoons, he was kicking them against walls, he was throwing them about the place.
Right. Stuff. Okay. Well, that doesn't look very good for him, it has to be said. Dave Lawrence, so for the likes of those that seen the vids and the interviews and not believing the kids, Mike is saying these people are not right?
No, I'm not saying that at all. It's what they're seeing as the result of abuse. That the abuse that the people think they're watching is not the correct abuse. The abuse is what they're actually watching the result of the abuse, which is a story which they are telling, which was put into their heads by Abe. It was only when the children felt safe enough to disclose the truth about Abe that they were, after a period of time of being out with his control, may I add, as is natural for victims, to then gain trust in adults. Because if you think about it, right, if your mother and your stepfather are prepared to do that to you, how are you going to trust any police to tell the truth to? How are you going to trust any other adult? You are. So it will take time before you divulge that you've been lying about these stuff, or that you feel safe enough where you could tell somebody about the abuse that you.
Okay, let me take a few more comments. Lynn Scotty, I think she's referring to you, Mike, is very involved in something that has nothing to do with him. I think the kids were telling the truth. I'm just giving you a bit of a flavor of some of the comments coming in here. It doesn't mean anything necessarily because, different people come and watch the show, what have you. I see Andy Devine is in the comments as well.
I really am there to change people's mind. People are entitled to investigate this all they want, right? But what they need to respect is naming innocent people and naming those kids, because you are putting them in danger whether you like it or not. I don't care if you...
quite right. I completely agree with you with that. We should be observing that. I agree with you. Sarah Boland, why does this say that we are replying to ourselves instead of to another commentator? I don't know, Sarah. It's Facebook, darling. Lynn Scotty, why are they so protective if there's nothing to protect? Paris Barrington, if Andy was bullshit, why have you not pulled him apart? I think it's because you can't. So why haven't you pulled him apart, Mike?
Because in my opinion, the only reason that he's got any traction just now is because everybody else has stopped talking.
Because everybody else has...
As far as debunking Andy Devine, you only need to go Google some of the stuff he says. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Look, let's talk about something, a little bit of a wider subject on this. Because it does seem to me that we do have, as I said in the intro to this show, a kind of a situation with information overload. For example, I mean, just regarding Brexit, there are so many. I use the word conspiracy theory, I mean, I guess it is, but I mean, there are so many proven conspiracies regarding Brexit, for a start, to get one's head around. For all of us, there are so many different theories that are going around. It's hard to know quite what to believe and what not to believe. It really is. It's very, very difficult. It's very, very... do we not have a situation where there is just way, way too much information out there? We are all naturally conditioned. We're largely distrustful of the British establishment now, off the back of things like the Dickens dossier, and so on and so forth. What we've heard about Elm Guest House, which I understand, Mike, you might talk about a little bit in a minute as well. Do we not have a situation of information overload? It's very hard to know quite what to believe. There's a couple of kids there. It's kind of well, I'm not saying it's right, but it's kind of understandable that people could jump to a conclusion one way or the other. And it just... The bottom line here, the media is not doing its job, getting paid a lot of money. What is it? The BBC just put up their license fee, 153 quid a year now or something. Plus they want to start taxing over 75s again. And they don't cover these things. But you get one, look at Brexit. You got one side of the argument. We don't get a balance. We don't know what's true. We know that they let Jimmy Savile get away with it for decades. People are very, very cynical. And this is when we're in a kind of a Petri pot with all of these different theories flowing around. And maybe we're just in a sea of misinfo, Mike. You kind of get what I'm concerned about here.
I understand what you're saying. I think a large degree there's a lot of fear propagated, because that's quite a poignant tool of controlling people and how they think and stuff like that, right? I take the position that when there's going to be corruption within the establishment and stuff like that. But when there's that much, what am I trying to say, like over egging of the pudding, if you like, it makes it kind of like it takes the attention away from the real subjects and the real topics that need to be discussed. I mean, like I can only comment objectively about Brexit. I'm not really fully involved in that stuff. But as a casual commentator, I've seen lies on both sides of the argument in the campaign for Brexit. There was no innocent parties in this, and anybody that says their side was telling the truth just really crap.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Yep, carry on.
I think the lessons that need to be learned about this is we're now in this is a position where there's a lot of mistrust around both sides, and where everybody's taking extreme positions and not having the conversations that are going to be productive. Because we are in a time of change in this country, and this is going to be a historic
We're in a what?
A huge time. We're in an absolutely historic time in this country.
Yes.
And it's going to be defining us and how we move forward. So we need to, as a country, unite, and what we're going to do is moving forward. And at the minute, I don't see that happening because of the extreme positions that both sides are.
So your concern from that is actually more concerning, that people are deliberately using events in the media, whipping them up to maybe promote a separate cause or to sow discord.
I believe Andy Devine's in your Facebook comments. If he wants to come on, he's more than welcome to jump on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What is that more accurately your concern with, for example, Hampstead and other examples that I would like to come to? Is that your concern that these possibly are being used? Stories which are... Sorry, go on.
I think they're distractions for the real issues. I mean, like, there is enough...
you see, that's slightly different. That's Mike. That's slightly different, isn't it? Well, maybe there's two things. I don't know. Is it a distraction, or is it being used as a tool for something else?
Well,
an ulterior motive.
Element of both. You've got to remember you're dealing with a field of opportunists. So if a certain topic suits
I don't know. Okay, hold on. Let's pick through this. How do you know you're dealing with opportunists? In some cases, you probably are. That's sod's law. But how can you know?
Sorry, I mean,
go on.
We're generalising.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We don't have any choice but to generalise generally. But sorry, carry on. I'm just trying to balance this because it is a worry. Yeah.
Just like for me, right? I look at all these things on an outside sort of perspective. I try not to be too involved in it, right? So, like, if you take like the Tracy Blackwell thing, right? Yeah. She might have legitimate concerns about and protesting rightfully about what she believes is a wrong to her, right? And I understand that, but when you start putting stuff like Hampstead on the back of that, and then diminishes the credibility that actual cause
who's doing that?
Well, like say Andy Devine and stuff like that, they're trying to intertie Hampstead into the Yellow Jackets, as Eddie is okay doing that as well. It's a popular thing to try and show.
So you're saying there's a dangerous conflation, but it could be an innocent motive behind it.
But I believe there are some innocent people pushing this story, believing it, that think 100% believe it. And I didn't discount that, but there are some people who are consciously trying to use it in order to basically push a false narrative for their own, in order to further their own agenda.
Okay. Now we've got Andrew Devine in the comments saying the caller is Flow Destroyer, a Hoaxted troll working for Ricky Dearman to cover up these crimes.
You just named that witness again, by the way.
Oh, look, okay.
See exactly what I mean. He doesn't care about this. This is exactly the kind of man you're dealing with. This is somebody who does not care about endangering this man's...
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Mike. Let me ask you a question. And I apologise for... I think I just broke the law. Well, blimey. Anyway, look, it was right. Look, yours... Is it in any way, shape or form, you are or ever have worked for any of the characters that have been named in this case?
Right. I will tell you something right now, Ollie, right? I will give you the lowdown on Flow Destroyer, right? Flow Destroyer is a normal chap right? Who's been a business manager, ran about fixing stuff around the country and shit like that. I've been a poker player. I've been a semi-professional gamer, right?
Mhm.
That's it. I came on board on this case 8 months ago and started looking at the stuff regarding it.
What do you mean you came on board? What do you mean? Well, how did you get involved?
How did I got involved through watching Brian Harvey's stuff talking about Bill Maloney, and then I seen a load of people talk about this Hampstead case.
Mm-hmm.
So I investigated it, and I investigated it with due diligence, but I didn't comment about it until I'd fully investigated it. I spoke to people who were involved in it. I've spoke to others who wrote blogs and stuff like that. Yep. Now, Andy would like to discredit me by calling me a Hoaxstead troll, because I hold a similar position to Hoaxstead.
Okay. Hoaxstead is a.
I've got my own opinions. I've got my own points of view.
Hoaxstead.
Let me some with some people. I do not agree with everything everybody says.
Right.
I do.
Right. Okay.
Hampstead case.
Okay. You told me the other day that you come to this as an individual, as opposed to as part of any group. Is that correct? And Hoaxstead, just to be clear, is a website. I think it's hoaxstead.blogspot.com or something.
Hoaxstead.wordpress.com.
Right, okay.
It's essentially a blog written by a Canadian lady and a... Your sound's just dropped off.
Oh, well, I thought it was you, actually. Your audio is pretty... It's Sod's Law, isn't it? It's Sod's Law.
Yeah, basically, Hoaxstead's a blog written by a 60-year-old Canadian woman.
Right, okay. So you're nothing to do with that, and you're nothing to do with any of these characters named in the case in any way?
Connection. I never knew about Hampstead really until about a year ago.
Okay.
I heard of him passing, and I didn't really have any interest in it. It was only because people were trying to push it into Brian Harvey's case that I got involved there.
It is kind of like, what is it they call it on InfoWars? They call it the information war, don't they? There's a war on for your mind, sort of thing, and it does.
What I found, Ollie, is that on one side there was a load of conjecture, and on one side there was evidence. There was court documents, there was testimonies for actual witnesses and stuff like that. There was a lot of stuff, basically, essentially broken down, and they were more than willing to engage with questions in that. The other side, as soon as you ask a question, they block you.
Yes. Right. So,
Scotty, I'm nothing to Brian Harvey. What I was sick of seeing is cases in the media getting jammed on by the alt media and used as basically discredited by alt media, because they end up using these cases to exploit people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a hobby, by the way. It's basically I come for a safeguarding background. I've only been on Hampstead for 8 months. I've done other things.
Okay, let's take a few more comments. Andrew Devines also says, I think it's fair to give Andrew a bit of a few comments here. Flo, do you think the police did what a policeman should do? Why did the DC, who was present at the children's interviews, the first two, say they were telling 110% truth? So why did they not go and check for the tattoos?
That policeman was not involved in the investigation at all. That was a policeman who was friends with Belinda McKenzie and a whole bunch of other truthers who were around that campaign. It was just another person whose heartstrings were pulled at and he swallowed it. He went out there on his whim. I don't know what his beliefs are anymore. I think he's basically given up.
Okay. Is it not the case that maybe people are just a wee bit too het up in one particular case that they cannot really know the truth about in any case? I mean, the way I approach something like this is, you know what? I really don't know. I mean, it's these incriminations, and so there are some incriminations that have been discussed on this show tonight, which are very, very concerning. But in terms of, I guess one of the big questions is, do you trust British justice? Is it not? And personally, I have to say, I don't know. I mean, look what's going on with democracy right now. I'm just throwing a couple of things in here.
I'll address a few of the things. One, I do not believe the system is not corrupt. There is corruption within the system, right? Two, I did come to this case as an impartial observer. I came into it with a clear set of eyes. I didn't have any opinions or that one way or the other. I thought I'd research it because it looked like an interesting case to research. As I said, they started to try and push it into the Brian Harvey thing, so I did my research about it. And the reason I did it was to actually see on social media a case go to fruition with it being hijacked by the likes of Belinda McKenzie and Angela Power Disney and John Wedger and Bill Maloney.
Now, these are all so-called or self-styled whistleblowers. That's correct to say, no?
Absolutely.
Okay, carry on.
They're self-appointed child protection experts who basically get a lot of attention doing very little. They basically campaign cases that will only get media attention, so the more sensational the better.
Okay, your sound is so dreadful. It really is very appalling. And Danny, can you still hear us there, sir? Danny's muted himself at the moment, but Danny, if you want to...
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here, man.
Oh, mate, your audio's better now. Maybe we can keep swapping around depending on whose audio's better. Okay, Danny, what's your take on what's been said?
I totally agree with Flo. Once you've seen the evidence, once you've seen the police reports and the doctor's reports and all these things for your own eyes, you'll soon see the truth.
Do you understand? Would you agree with me that there is a problem that we have as members of the public when it comes to pretty much anything now that is emitted through the mainstream media, to know what is the truth behind it?
Well, that's why you've got to do your own research yourself. You can't believe what you read.
Yes,
you watch.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And also, is it not the case, though, that one cannot research the vast majority of this stuff? Because apart from the fact that it would probably send you around the bend, where do you find the time?
Surprised or not, a couple of hours every night. You'd be surprised what you can look hard.
You don't sound like someone who's got kids making a remark like that. For example.
Yeah, I've got three.
You've got 3 kids. Oh, you got 3. Okay.
Mine all grown up now, so I've got a lot of time, Jans.
Okay, fair enough. Well, fair enough. I don't know whether there are other people have got time or what have you. There is so much. My point really is that there is so much to take in, and we're in a community which is looking for.
You can't take it all in, Ollie. You can't take it all in. You have to take in. You have to take in what you can see and go and make your conclusion. If you make your conclusion after seeing a few bits of evidence, well, that's not, clearly that couldn't have happened. There's the evidence right there, staring in the face. So you don't go any further then. You don't need to go any deeper and shit. You just go down. That's enough for me. I can see that's a hoax. Then you got us wondering why people are pushing it. You think, well, why? I've seen the evidence. Well, why have you seen the evidence?
I think you have to go. I think you have to go pretty deep, and whether or not the information is really out there, and how much of it that is out there. I'm not talking about Hampstead. I'm just talking about research online, really, to find, if you like, clean information. It's not always easy.
It's the way the internet works. The way the analytics and the is not all. It's the way it all works. When you go on YouTube and you search flat Earth, for example, you're going to have 15 links down the right-hand side, all flat Earth.
Okay.
No one will really say, flat Earth debunked.
That's a good example then. Why do so many people believe in this flat Earth theory, for example, when I stand on the seashore and I can see a curvature on the sea? I can see it with my bare eyes.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
Why? What is it? What is it that people just? I don't know. I mean,
well, Eric Dubay made enough money out of it. He's made DVDs, he made books, and all sorts of stuff. He made a lot of money. He's a rich man now, Eric Dubay, and he started it all off. And other people have followed it and tried to follow the sort of business plan of tried to write books and get some subscribers and get clicks, all that sort of stuff, and make money from it. And that's what it's all about. It's all about money. That's why it's called a scam. It's money.
You think it's about money, or could it possibly be about trying to confuse the hell out of people? Because it does seem to me that this is a tactic that could be used. I'm not saying that's the case, but it could be used to divide, rule people by, for example, creating tensions between groups that want the same thing, basically, which is a better future, but maybe they're going about it in different ways and they have different information. And
absolutely. I think
situations like this can create tensions. Go on, Mike. Mike, please.
Real causes, real situations. I would say, like, if you look at I don't know if you know about Chris Fay and Andrew Ash and stuff like that.
Now, Chris Fay was the whistleblower for Elm Guest House in Barnes that was interviewed by Bill Maloney, and that gave the testimony, the main testimony, I think, that led to all the concerns about Elm Guest House. Is that correct?
It led to all these celebrities getting arrested. You know, Cliff Richard and all these people got arrested, falsely accused. That's what it led to.
Cliff Richard, I don't know if his arrest was, and he was eventually let off, wasn't he?
That arrest wasn't linked to Elm Guest House.
No, I was going to say, I don't think it was linked to that. Let me ask you a question. Okay, now, whether or not is true or what have you, but there is a theory that has been flowing around that, and I think I can say this. I think it's fair to say this. All things considered, with trying to analyze exactly this topic now, there is a list of people from Carol Kazir from Elm Guest House, which includes allegedly the pop kind of nickname, moniker, whatever, for Cliff Richard, and somebody that he was with.
Kitty, I think.
Kitty, yeah, that's right. This is allegedly the case. We cannot know exactly the truth. Carol Kazir, for a start, isn't around to tell us anymore. She died under mysterious circumstances. I did wonder, I have to say, and this
truth as it stands today, though, Ollie, the truth as it stands today is nothing happened. That's the truth so far.
That is the legal standpoint, that nothing.
Can I object to something?
That's the legal standpoint about Elm Guest House, that nothing happened. That doesn't mean that nothing happened.
Listen, can I
does
object
it?
Here? Right.
Okay, go on, please, Mike.
Right. If you were wanting to hide a conspiracy, how would you hide a conspiracy? You would hide it in a conspiracy. Right? So what you would do is you would name one person who's a paedophile and name 10 or 12 that aren't. Right? And what would that do? That would give the actual paedophile cover for being a paedophile.
Yeah. It confuses the hell out of the issue, basically.
Absolutely. So there is an element, and I'm not going to make any direct allegations or stuff like that in this program, but there is an element, for what I can discern anyway, as best I can see, that looks like there's an element of cases being dropped into actual cases and muddied deliberately.
See, that was actually my question about Cliff Richard. If that has basically been what has happened to him, whether he has been used as a kind of a convenient tool to distract from what was really going on, for example, regarding the Dickens dossier and Leon Britton. And so far as Elm Guest House is concerned, more specifically, there was a photo, wasn't there, allegedly, of Leon Britton there with a young lad on his lap or what have you. And these are allegedlys, yeah. The Dickens dossier is not an allegedly. That is a fact. We know that. It went missing.
Well, he lost it, didn't he?
He was raided by Special Branch, and they took the copy he had, and Leon Britton, or the Home Office, managed to lose the other copy. With regards, though, my question about and the other thing that was going on in Elm Guest House apparently was that senior MPs, cabinet MPs, were rubbing shoulders with members of Sinn Féin, who at that time were orchestrating a mainland bombing campaign. Yeah, so there's some very, very important stuff that was surrounding this whole thing, and we don't know the truth.
We need to put that in context.
We don't know the truth. But my question to you, because I haven't finished what I was going to say about Cliff Richard, and I'm in danger of going back into doing the wrong thing here. is that could he have not been arrested and all of that smoke as a way to basically, if you like, sanitize his name, that then any connection between him and Elm Guest House would be eradicated, or just to confuse the hell out of the whole VIP paedophilia thing as an aside? I don't know. That's a question to you, Mike.
I just think I don't want to go into specific cases and stuff like that, because there's so much legals about this kind of stuff. I'm not want to risk that minefield back and talking this kind of, and like when your narrative basically becomes that everybody in government's a paedophile and whatever, then what you enable is the actual paedophiles who are in Parliament, if there are any. I wouldn't say if there are or not, but by giving basically statistics, it's likely there is at least one or two in there. But they can hide if the narrative is that everybody actually thinks that everybody is. Like, yes, there's fucking crappy MPs, there's loads of crap that they do on a daily basis that certainly isn't excusable in any sort of shape or form, but you have to concentrate on what is real in order to fix. And like, I think if you start to like go by the mindset that everybody in government is, well, then basically you're going to allow the actual paedophiles in there to hide.
Right, let's take a few more comments. Andy Devine, who I think deserves a fair crack in response to some of the things that are being said about him.
He should come on and chat to us.
He's welcome if he wants to. And why can't we name the person that he already named? I'm not going to name him. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish what he says. The court case is over, and if I'm correct, then it's my care of duty to get justice for the children by naming the perpetrator that the children exposed.
I can address that, right? And what kind of shape, form, or capacity does Andy Devine think that he is qualified enough to make a judgment on this case from Greece?
Well, what I don't know what Greece has got to do with it. What's Greece?
The other part of his question?
What's Greece got to do with it?
Well, he's sat in Greece. How can you investigate a case in the UK and thoroughly be sure that he's doing it? And what professional capacity is he operating? What awareness of safeguarding the children is he operating? And what experience of safeguarding is he? What field does he came from? He's ran a bar.
Okay, all right. Christopher Michael Baxter. I'm not going to repeat his comment because I think I might get in legal hot soup. Dave Lawrence, corrupt staff. If they want things to disappear or be proven as false, then they will do whatever they can with paid agents and others. Shiva Burton says the anti-child sexual abuse rally that I organised was hijacked by David Icke, Brian Garish, Robert Greene, Belinda McKenzie, and to promote the SRA myths and hoaxes, muddy the waters. Otherwise, we had some survivors from Ireland coming over to speak who were victims of the home that Olly is alluding to. You do take issue, Mike, with and you, Danny, with some very well-regarded whistleblowers, as I understand it. And you already mentioned John Wedger earlier on the show. John's been on this show, and I have to say I found him very, very impressive indeed. Do you not believe what he has to say?
He hasn't given us one name, and no one's been arrested by John Wedger.
Right. I'll tell you what my concerns are, right?
Go on, Mike.
30 things like and child sex, and you're campaigning for putting yourself as an anti-child abuse campaigner, right? When you've got ex-BBC promoting you and running your stuff behind the scenes, and when you're getting publishing rights for survivor stories, and having been associated with Bill Maloney and Chris Fay and that whole Andrew Ash escapade, I think your credibility is severely lacking. I would also like to add that
so hold on, whoa, hold on.
A whistleblower, because the police have a procedure for whistleblowing, right? if you're in the job, you have to fill in a specific form, which John Wedger did not do. He only blew the whistle when he left the police force, and he has not named a single person. The man has not done anything in regards to like taking on board criticism from actual survivors and real campaigners in regard to child abuse about his
well, hold on a sec. Mike. Okay. There's several points there. But what you're saying is that, put up or whatnot. I mean, he came out ultimately as a whistleblower when he retired, and he had all sorts of grief, as I understand it, for speaking up and speaking out. And that he was, as I understand it, he was threatened in the police, and basically his position was made very, very uncomfortable.
There's a group of police whistleblowers currently active, and they've basically fight to reinstate police officers who've been wrongly dismissed and fight their cases and stuff like that.
Right.
John Wedger's refused to interact with these people at any point. They have more than ample criticism of John. It's all documented on their blog. If you look at Good Cop Down on Twitter, he will be able to inform you.
How do you know that?
You need to have named someone to blow a whistle.
Why does it?
Real whistleblowers are like people like.
Hold on, whoa! Because you just slated John Wedger, and I don't know. Maybe you're right, but maybe you're not. There's nothing that you've said that is absolute 100% evidence that the guy is anything but a concerned citizen who's trying to do the right thing.
I'm not saying that he is. I'm raising concerns about the way he's doing it.
Okay.
And the effectiveness of the campaign.
So you're saying
the fact that he's trying to push the SRA narrative, which there is not a single case in the UK that has been proven the SRA.
Hold on, what SRA? Sorry, satanic ritual abuse, is that?
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay. All right. I think
right? Why would you concentrate on a section of child abuse that does not exist?
You're saying that satanic ritual abuse is a section of child abuse.
There's not a proven case in the UK.
I'm sorry?
There's not a proven case of satanic ritual abuse in the UK.
There's no proven case. Right. Okay. Right. Could that be because the UK is run by, I don't know, owl worshipping, 33rd degree lodge,
do you believe that,
Freemason type character? I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I sit here night after night after night wondering what to believe, and I honestly
really worry, right? I really worry for the future of this country. If people actually believe that there are satanic baby eaters running Parliament, if you believe that, then this country's fucked.
Well, now let's try and be good with the language. I don't think that everybody in Parliament is running around, getting baby blood transfusions. I just do think that there is a problem with paedophilia in the UK. That we really do have some issues with that. And that we know that it has. People have been covering it up. Whoa! But people have been covering it up. Now, I mean, let me just play something very quickly. This is
going to back up your point, Ollie. The UK is ranked 5th in the world for child abuse offences per capita. That means that, in spite of us being one of the most evolved countries in the world, we're one of the worst offenders of child abuse in the world.
Where's it gone? You just went.
So there is a problem.
Yeah, I know.
The only way to tackle that problem is to clear away the rubbish and look at the real stuff and put the resources to the real abuse.
Let me. Okay.
What that involves.
Okay. Fine. Look, I personally do concur to that. I have to say, I can only really comment on what is underneath my nose 100%, and it's very difficult. But I will give you an example of that. Because I think it's important that people do, hopefully for some balance on this, realize how alarming, in my opinion at least, the situation is. This is Ted Heath's whip, Tim Fortescue, the clip that I play a lot on this show, because it really just sums up how they have oiled the rails of democracy in the UK. This is Tim Fortescue explaining how paedophilia was used by that very government that took us into the EEC to have MPs toe the line and to basically promote the government's cause.
Anyone with any sense.
Oh, come on. Where is it?
Anyone can know this. I'm in a jam. Can you help? It might be
Hold on.
dead. It might.
Hold on. I'm going to start this again. That was a problem with my rig, RAM, I don't know what. Listen to this, please.
Anyone with any sense who was in trouble would come to the whips and tell them the truth and say, no, this, I'm in a jam. Can you help? It might be debt. It might be a scandal involving small boys or any kind of scandal which a member seemed likely to be mixed up in. They'd come and ask if we could help. And if we could, we did. And we would do everything we can because we would store up brownie points. That sounds a pretty nasty reason, but it's one of the reasons. Is if we can get a chap out of trouble, then he'll do as we ask forevermore.
It's the Whip's Black Book, isn't it? The Whip's Black Book, and that was on the BBC on Westminster Secret Service back in the 80s. You never hear them talking about that these days, do you? Or things like the FCO 301048. That guy shared an office, by the way, when in that very Parliament that took us into the EEC with none other than Kenneth Clarke. Kenneth Clarke, yeah. His first time in the Commons, he was just elected or what have you. He became a whip, and I don't know if he was on the steering committee of the Bilderberg Group as early as that, but we do know that he is one of the arch Remainers. Look, Danny and Mike, I've kind of run out of time here, but I'm fascinated to have this conversation with you, and I would like to continue at another time, please.
Yeah, that's no problem with me. I would like Andy Devine to come on next time if possible.
He has said he would come back on this show, and thank you, Andy. I hope that's the case. And if there is a way that we could maybe do this and have a bit of a chat, hopefully a civilized conversation to thrash out both sides of this story, then that would be cool. Sorry, Mike?
I won't go too hard on him.
Well, I don't know. I mean, is it not just possible that we just have different belief systems to a certain extent, conditioned in different respects to a certain extent? And yeah, I'm not saying that we're all right. I personally think that I'm wrong about various things or don't know, which is why I think democracy is important. Is it like not a possibility that we are all largely confused?
Research in that case, what I have a problem with is people endangering innocent people, and Andrew Devine endangers innocent. Until we can answer that, then there is no point in discussing why he feels fit to basically endanger children, whilst professing to be protecting the children at the same time. It's ridiculous.
Before I close off, I want to clear something up. You mentioned Chris Fay earlier. Chris Fay, the social worker who exposed to Bill Maloney with that huge interview what had been going on, in his opinion, at Elm Guest House. It would be erroneous not to finish that point, please. What are you saying is wrong about what he said?
I am saying, as far as I'm concerned, Guest House, Chris Fay got a list for this woman for the guest house about being visited and stuff, right? Elm Guest House was a house for rent boys that was visited by various famous people and stuff like that, right? Now, a rent boy doesn't necessarily mean an underage
no, it means a male prostitute.
That means a male prostitute, yeah. But I'm not saying that anything bad did or didn't go in there. I'm not inclined to believe one way or the other because I can't see the evidence firsthand. All I've got is Chris Fay saying this name list, this name names, whilst being convicted of fraud.
Yeah.
Right? And it's been passed to Bill Maloney, who's been basically exposed as covering up child abuse, essentially. The guy named Andrew Ash to name a load of people who weren't paedophiles and amongst people who probably were paedophiles.
Hold on. Okay, so you're saying that you don't trust Chris Fay's testimony by association of his relationship with Bill Maloney. Is that right?
Well, and the fact he's a convicted fraudster.
He's a convicted fraudster. That's what you're saying.
If you go and Google his conviction, it's quite there for everybody to see.
Right. And why do you not trust Bill Maloney?
Basically because he's been discredited largely. He calls for things like amnesty for paedophiles and stuff like that. It's an absolutely disgusting position to take if you're going to fight hell.
So
videos on my channel where I'm calling for amnesty. I don't know how much clearer it needs to be to people how much of a danger these people actually are.
So in the case of Bill Maloney, the main reason that you don't trust him is because of his policy position, if you like.
His policies on amnesty stuff, the way that he interacts around survivors, the fact that he's not actually outed any real child abuse or solved any problem.
In fact, he made a lot of money.
Go on, Danny.
He's not an activist. He's a popular.
I'm just back on the flow there. So usually people forget. I think if you stuck on, he made a lot of money from this. Bill Maloney, a lot of money.
Well, whether that's actually
that need to be explored as well as to why he's selling stories to members of the mainstream media. That might be a question.
Okay, but they are all questions. They're not facts in terms of Bill Maloney is a wrong.
Absolutely, and Olly, this is an important point you're about to bring up. Is that when you put yourself out there as fighting against child abuse and making money off the back of it, then you better be able to stand up to scrutiny.
Yeah, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. I think anybody in this kind of arena has to be able to stand up to scrutiny and be frank and answer the questions. Yeah, no, completely. Look, Mike and Danny, thank you very, very much indeed. God bless you. I do appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for
So there you go. More popcorn. And who knows? Maybe we'll. I tell you, this does fascinate me. I have to say. I mean, personally, I just half the time don't really know what to believe. Yeah, but what I do know, is that Tim Fortescue said that a whip under Heath. Yeah, where are the questions about that? We all know a few things about Savile, yeah? No questions, yeah? No questions. But it is true. There are many things that are, I don't know what to believe. I want to say a big cheers to Mike Dyce and Danny Jones for popping in tonight. And despite all the technical chaos again. And to Chris Baxter, just for giving us a laugh, really. Got to sort your mic out, mate. This has been the Daily Brexit. Back tomorrow, 7 o'clock, with Gwaine Towler, former head of press for UKIP, who is going to give us a bit of his insight into what may or may not happen with the Brexit Party and his old mate Nigel Farage's part in that, and what it means for the other Brexit parties, for the Brexit parties, and for Brexit. Wednesday, Robin Horsley, Disinfo, a bit more of tonight, but just more political level, and Bill Etheridge on Thursday, talking about the Libertarian Party. And hey, guess what? My sound card just went an entire show and didn't need a reboot. Haha! Yeah, it was the drivers. It was a driver conflict. Windows Update. That's what Windows Update does to your machine. Shevra Button says, Ollie, you haven't got a clue, have you? No, I don't, Shevra. No, not really. All the best. See you tomorrow. Ciao. Here's to us and bugger plutocracy.